techniques of data presentation. Types and techniques of data presentation. So data can be coded by, assigning numeric value to non-numeric measurement. We've said it before that some categorical data, and when we assign value to them, they become what? A dummy variable. So we have different attributes which we could assign a dummy phenomenon to. So historically, a reason for data coding was to conserve storage space, which was at a premium. So sometimes we use computer storage, to preserve some of those. So data must be entered into computer before it can be analyzed, and most statistical package and spreadsheet programs are programmed to, import some of these data. So these are frequency distribution table. So a common way to summarize or present data is with what? Standard frequency table. The objective of statistical interpretation is to analyze data or to organize data into conscious form, so that interpretation and analysis become so easy. So here, larger data are organized into tabular form. So sometimes we organize the larger data into structural form. So frequency distribution table is just a table that you list some data and the number of occurrence of those data. What is the size of this data? How many times does some of these data appears? So any tabular form that presents data or presents data in this form is called frequency distribution table. So the raw data is presented, and the number of occurrence is also presented. So this gives frequency distribution table. So the table, so data can be classified as grouped or non-grouped data. So a group data are an interval data that is arranged in a tabular format. A table that have observation maybe 1 to 10, 11 to 20, 21 to this, sometimes we call it group data. You see that it must have frequency, that 1 to 10 occur this number of times, 2 to 10 occur this number of times, and so such data is group data. But in other way, the other data, a numeric or integer data that has 1, 2, 3, and the corresponding frequencies is just a non-group data. So data could be group or a non-group data. So depending on the structure and the presentation. So graph of data. So that we have different types of graphs that we use to present data. It could be picture graph, where you have pictorial representation of the data. It could be line graph, it could be bar chart. We have different types of bar chart. It could be box charts too. So these are different ways through which we present data. So most graphically, we have the two axes of presenting data. We have x-axis and we have y-axis. X-axis sometimes is called as horizontal axis, while y-axis is called a vertical axis. So when you are presenting two relationships in graphical form, sometimes you choose the best graph that represents them. So line graph is normally used to present, occurrence or values of certain variables, over time. So depending on the type of data or the type of interpretation you want to give, makes choice of the type of graph you are doing. So histogram is one of the types of graphs that we use for data presentation. So histogram is just a bar graph where we use dependent variables in a normal chart. So we have bar chart, we have histogram. Histogram is a bar chart that has line that stresses the peaks of those bar charts. So we have different types of graph. We have OGIF and we have so many other types of charts. So we have frequency polygon and so many. We have scatter plot. These are different graphs that we use for presentation of what? Data.